I was asked to talk about how anger manifests with avoidant people, which I think I've talked about before, so I'm sorry if these are getting repetitive. But there's sort of an impression, kinda, which first of all is weird because who even knows who avoidants are? Nobody, unless they've actually got one in their life. Anyway, but there's an impression that avoidant people are meek and quiet and don't ever get angry, and that's kind of completely the opposite of reality. And the thing is there's a couple things that go into it. Is that one is that avoidant people don't stick up for themselves. So if somebody's doing something really awful to them, that's why it's really common for avoidant people to become victimized by borderline personality disorder people. They like I said, they just don't stick up for themselves. So if you've got something going on where it's just not, I'm having a hard time talking. It's bothersome. Let's just put it that way. Bothersome to an avoidant person personally. Generally, they don't think that they're worth it to speak up about whatever's bothering them, and they don't, and they suck it up and put up with it and suck it up until they blow, and then woe be to you. However, it's a completely different matter when there's somebody else that they care for. In that case, forget about it. Somebody could be irritated for themselves, but then they realize that somebody that they care for is also irritated by it, and they just, all bets are off because they're not worth it. And actually, it's sort of, it doubles up, because see, the other reason why avoidant people don't get angry or manifest it or let people know is because they don't want to make waves. They don't want to make themselves stand out or anything like that. So if they can avoid that at any cost, they will. So that it's a matter of, do I stand out and make people notice me and maybe become open to ridicule, or have somebody know me more. They would know my personality and they would know my tastes because I'm talking about something that affects me. So they wouldn't do that. They don't want to stand out. But and this is sort of weird, but this is how it works. If it's somebody else that's going to benefit, then that supersedes the need to be quiet and meek and to fade into the woodwork, because again, anybody else is automatically more worthy. So helping them is more important than keeping the avoidant's personal sense of themselves. That probably doesn't make any sense unless you're avoidant, in which case you're like, yep, totally get that. I mean, if somebody was attacking my friend, I'd be the first one there. I'd be beyond pissed. I would explode at them. I'd be volcanic. So, in which I love putting these little tests up, but that's a test. If you break up with somebody and you're avoidant, then you're going to blame yourself, and you'll be mad at yourself, and you'll think that it's your fault. And if you have a breakup and you're not seeing the blaming yourself and you're completely blaming the other person, that means you're not avoidant. It's kind of a given. Because if you're angry on their behalf, that's very avoidant. If you're angry on your own behalf and you express it, that's not so avoidant. So, you know, I get angry on these videos, apparently, and the thing is that I don't see them as myself, as this is just my opinion, but I feel really strongly like I'm talking for people who can't talk. So that's why things like me being so annoyed at, for instance, the people who self-diagnose and then shoot off their mouths about all their symptoms and how what they're going through is avoidant automatically. They've decided they're avoidant. They haven't actually gone through the process to find out, which means something like 90% of people who are self-diagnosed actually don't have avoidant personality disorder, and that's just what the studies say. So me making it up, that's reality. So, and then they come out and they'll talk about, and the worst by far, I'm sure I told this before, because it was just like horrifying, was somebody who said that people in general, like the general populace, you know, people think that avoidant people are sloppy. The general populace doesn't even know that avoidant personality disorder exists. And generally, again, avoidant people want us to blend in. So no, they would not do something that would make people notice them and ridicule them. So they, you know, they're not going to be sort of glammed out, but they're not going to be, you know, somebody that's just gross either. That's depressed people who have major problem where their appearance drops tremendously. Yeah. That's irritating to me because it's bothersome to other people who are avoidant, and it's a really bad thing for people who might have avoidant personality disorder and are not necessarily self-diagnosed, but haven't really gotten themselves together enough to go out and get a diagnosis, or people who have brand new diagnosis, and then they go online and they try to figure out what the hell's going on, and they see this crap that has nothing to do with them whatsoever, and they're like, what? That's bad. In my mind, that's really bad. In my mind, that's very selfish to do that. To insist that whatever's going on in your life, it automatically is an avoidant thing. And I know that it makes me sound like a massive hypocrite, because what am I doing right now? Anyway, so yes, that's why generally people don't see avoidant anger, is because they don't want to stand out, and they don't want to make a spectacle of themselves, and they don't think they're worth it. They don't think they're worth it to be angry, and to stick up for themselves. So that's why there's this misimpression. Oh, a lot of people assume like the worst behaviors of an introverted person is automatically the same as the avoidant person's. And they're not. Again, they're different. You're depressed, you're different from being avoidant. You're introverted, that's different from being avoidant. Anyway, so as far as the anger itself, anger most of the time is a manifestation of fear, and of course, avoidant people are afraid of a lot of things. That's just sort of part and parcel. Is that you're afraid of rejection, you're afraid of abandonment, you're afraid that you're not worthy enough, that you aren't good enough, that somebody will just, that you'll disappoint people. Avoidant people are really, really, really driven on fear. And so that means that they, and again, that fear comes out if you put somebody in a corner, and they're terrified, it comes out as anger. And again, because they don't talk about what's going on, they don't stick up for themselves, avoidant people sort of have a lot of anger that gets built up, and then it explodes. So I don't think that avoidant people are more angry than the average folk, in my opinion. A lot of frustration, a lot of unhappiness, and it builds. The thing is that when an avoidant actually gets angry, because they sit and stew most of the time. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, some people, apparently, can get angry, express their anger, have it heard, and then they can just let it go. And that would be so awesome. But, if you can't express your anger, if you feel you're unworthy of expressing your anger, then it just sort of hangs around forever. So, I don't think that they are that avoidant people get angry more often, or that there are more things that trigger them, etc. I think it's just that they can express it, and it sort of lingers, and yeah. So I know people are usually shocked because avoidant people are generally the quiet little wallflower type, and so when they do get angry and it comes out, people are shocked because they're used to avoidant people going along with everything, and then all of a sudden they're not going along with it, and it's like, what is happening here? And of course, the other thing is I think avoidant people have this self-impression that they're more angry than other people, because they remember it and they beat themselves up for it. Other people get angry and then that's it. Okay, I'm angry. I have a right to be angry. I'm angry, and there we go. Now I'm going to leave it alone and make it go away. And they just get it out of their minds. And avoidant people can't do that. They sit and ruminate about, oh, what have I done? And so they think they're angry, like it's bigger, it's worse, etc. And I don't think so. I think that it just shows itself differently, and it really needs an explosive trigger in order for somebody who's avoidant to express it. And so it looks different for an avoidant person than other people, and sort of going around and around. More or less, that's my that's what I think about anger and how it manifests in avoidant personality, sort of.